Welcome back, and we're here with Brian Bilbray, the congressman from here in San Diego in the North County. And how is the battle at the border going? I guess the easiest way to ask you, because violence has increased so much on just right across the border. How are we doing on this side of the border to keep it from coming in?
Well, I think, first of all, illegal immigration is down, but the border itself is really at a breaking point. I think the one thing we've really got to get across is that Mexico is fighting for its life down there. And we need to make sure that the officials win that battle against the smuggling cartels. We have a vested interest that the battle is won in Tijuana before it spreads too much into San Diego. So I've been very active at working with the previous administration and the existing administration and with Mexican officials, that the fact that we need to understand that we have a vested interest at Calderon having winning this one. And I've disagreed with him on a lot of stuff, but when it comes to how brave he is to take on the cartels, we've got to support him now, because if we don't win this one in the next 24 months, we got some real problems, not just in San Diego, but in the entire country.
Describe that. Why?
Well, because you basically have got a country that has the potential of becoming a base for not only drug activity and alien smuggling, which they traditionally done, but then being a base for a whole lot of other problems. If Mexico does not win this one, we could have an Afghanistan kind of situation right on our southern border. I know that sounds extreme, but ask the men and women that have faced that. Over 6,000 people killed last year in Mexico, and the numbers are going up. This is a real battle we need to fight, and that's why militarily we're willing to help, give them supplies, give them training. We're looking at even using unmanned vehicles to help fight their terrorists in their backyard, just as we've done with other countries around the world.
It's not just the Minutemen. A lot of Americans say create a demilitarized zone there, move the National Guard, move the U.S. Army there, and fortify that border, because it is so dangerous. Just as you say, why isn't more being done to listen to those people and actually build up the border?
Well, we have with the fences, with the patrols. The real key there is that we need to make sure we work with Mexico to win the battle now, so we don't have to do that and shut down the border in the future. And I think, you know, you got some business people who are saying, oh, we're worried that the traffic and the commerce across the border may be slowed down over the next few months. Hey, look, if we don't win this war with Calderon, there isn't going to be any traffic, any commerce across the border. The border will become a hardened area, and we won't have that pleasure that we've always had of enjoying our neighbors to the south. We'll be looking at defending our neighbors to the north and defending our own community.
How far off is that? What's the odds that that could happen? Because people are afraid of that.
What I am terrified is that the opposition party in Mexico is actually talking about negotiating with the cartel some kind of arrangement. To me, that's capitulation to terrorists and thugs. I really worry the next election in Mexico could determine where Mexico goes with this, and the Congress could pull the support out from Calderon because they don't like the body count. You saw what happened in our country when our troops were overseas and the president talked about upping and putting more people in. People got faint-hearted and said, let's withdraw, let's retreat from this, and thank God we didn't. But they're thinking the same thing, and there's political advantage right now to blame Calderon for causing the fight, not negotiating, not finding a peaceful way of coexisting with the drug cartels and the smuggling cartels. That's a very enticing statement come election time. The trouble is, long-term, it is absolutely the worst thing, not just for Mexico, but for the United States, and could destroy the Mexico relationship that we're looking forward to in the future.
So you see a real possibility that some force that's not happy with America could in fact take over Mexico, could in fact succeed Calderon, and create a situation where we might have to shut down the border?
I see a force that will make the border so uncontrollable that we have to secure it across the line, that we will lose all of the benefits we've had of being on the frontier, and that we, instead of being on the front line of relationship with a friend to the south, we'll be on the front line of unarmed conflict and be defending our neighborhood. So I think we just got to take it serious, and that's one reason why San Diegans got to take the message to Washington and say, look, we've got to be serious about that. And that's why you see Democrats and Republicans, Bob Filner and I, raise the issue that we need to address this issue one way or the other, and we can't walk away from it. And we can't worry about what's happening everywhere else around the world and not take care of our own backyard.
Wow. What do you want to do when you get back to work finally, when the breaks are all over and you get back into Washington? What do you want to see get done first?
Well, one thing that I'm working with Bob Filner on, raising again, was getting the Veterans Administration on a 2-year budget cycle. I think that is something that we really can do. But Bob can take the lead on it because he's a Democrat, and I'll support him as a Republican. And we start talking to Congress that if you really want to help the veterans, put it on a 2-year cycle so that they don't have to come hat in hand every year and they have a long-term budget. I think that not only will help the veterans, but will show Congress that we ought to be doing this with all our budget. Go to a 2-year budget cycle where we're balancing the budget right after we get elected, not just before the election when we're buying votes with taxpayers' money and getting contributions.
That'll be good news for a military town like San Diego. Thank you very much, Congressman Brian Bilbray. Thanks for being here today. And thank you all for being here on San Diego People. We'll see you next week on the KUSI News at 10 and 11.